cross-examining Michael Cohen can look like Clarence Darrow just by pulling out all of the different inconsistent statements, as you just gave a very brief explanation right there. So what I think is going to be key in this case, though, is whether the defense decides to call Bob Costello as a witness. Because Bob Costello was his attorney when he initially was raided, and he gave him several statements at that time when he was suicidal. He said he'd do anything to avoid jail.
A Trump-connected lawyer who I should mention has his own credibility issues, including publicly releasing what would otherwise have been attorney-client privilege information. But you're saying that Trump-affiliated lawyer who represented Cohen, what everyone thinks of him, you're saying that could be useful at trial. Why? Because he had that period of time where he'd say, hey, this was the version of the story before the story changed again?
He is able to give Michael Cohen's non-public story at the time, when he had the most motivation, to point the finger at Donald Trump. Michael Cohen signed a complete privilege waiver, so he didn't release anything privileged. Instead, this is the information that when the Southern District of New York was investigating this case, they interviewed Michael Cohen, then they interviewed Bob Costello. They had Michael Cohen sign a privilege waiver. And then based on the information that Bob Costello gave them, that's why the U.S. Attorney's Office decided not to bring this case, because they knew that they couldn't rely on the word of Michael Cohen. So even though the judge ruled that the U.S. Attorney's Office determination is inadmissible, the information is.
I would jump in just to be clear on 2 points. One is whether or not Cohen, of course, waived that for the purposes of his cooperation with the government. I would think you would agree, most lawyers would say, that going out and talking about a former client and describing his mental anguish or his potential alleged suicidal ideation is beyond the pale. And then two, it is a complex set of reasons why the SDNY didn't go forward with a wider case. I mean, that's the simplest way I can put it. But I just want to put that on the record. I also want to give you a chance to double back.